On Saturday, Bournemouth scraped over the line against Everton. The headline should have been ready for Dom Solanke, who has performed a record equalling 16 goals, the same as Joshua King did for the Cherries. Is Dom going to surpass it? Hopefully so. But it was a tale of two blunders that seemed to make the headlines come full time. Neto to Beto, it was 1-1, but then Coleman putting it in his own net to give Bournemouth the points. Look, we'll take the win, 3 points in the bag. Can we do it again against Palace on Tuesday night? Welcome to the Big Match Preview. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
This is Back of the Net. We're an AFC Bournemouth fan channel. And look, if you're looking for the second look, we decided, Tom, the turnaround's pretty quick, so we're going to do a double header later in the week, right?
Yeah, it's a great shout. I think it's the perfect way, and you still get the preview out, and obviously, we've got a game coming up now, so we can cover both, and hopefully we cover 2 wins, mate, and that would be ideal, and we could look at how we won both games.
Exactly, but for this show, it's all about looking forward. You know what? Always advance, never retreat. Yeah, you know the saying. I'm going to caveat, though, with the fact that we'd always look back at the last home game. I was ill. I wasn't there. Bournemouth lost 2-0. So, should we take a look at a highlights package of the reverse fixture this season at Selhurst Park instead?
I think that's a great idea.
This is what happened. Decent game that, Tom. And I think I put in the thumbnail, does Kiefer Moore ever score and it's not Limbs? Because it seems to always be Limbs when he scores.
Yeah, and I think obviously a lot of that is because he's kind of comes off the bench later on. But he has always scored some crucial goals. Unfortunately, both goal scorers on that day not going to be available for this one, Celesi and Moore. But it's a weird one. I feel like we've had... You said about the last time we played them at home that obviously we lost. We've had some bad ones at Selhurst.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had some really difficult ones. So it was really nice in that game where I didn't think Palace were great. They were missing some real key players who will be back for this one. But without being spectacular, I thought that was a really well grinded out away win.
Yeah, agreed.
And we backed that up with a win against United, and it was a week that someone predicted.
Yes, it was. It certainly was. Now, you'll notice the location, right? We're at the Queen's Park again.
Of course.
And you know what, Tom? One mention on Back of the Net, and then the Cherries hierarchy comes in. I think they were there, Jim Pravola and a few other people.
Yeah.
Was Bill Foley here? Rumours that he was, but Jim and a few others from the hierarchy were at the Queen's Park before the game. Even bought a couple of fans' drinks as well. Tyler Gregory got a pint.
Oh, lovely stuff. Yeah, I think there were rally flags everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Tell you what, Foley's got a good record, hasn't he, when he comes down? I remember him coming for that Leicester game, in particular. But nice for him to pop down. I think we might have to offer some people a little bit of another little incentive to get on down there, I reckon.
We should.
Yeah, great.
Right. Well, look, because on the weekend games, there's the raffle that they do. So every pint you buy, you get a raffle ticket. And then after the game, we draw. Now, I'll have to tell you the story about Saturday because I came in the pub afterwards and I did the draw. So
was there a red carpet?
No, there wasn't a red carpet.
I heard people just going, ooh.
First prize, it was like £100. Yeah. Second prize is 50. They do that for every weekend home game. And there was a bloke in front of me, sort of semi-joking, like, you better draw mine. You better draw mine next. I was like, your fingers crossed I can. I was like, pulled out his ticket. He was all over me, and it was great to meet a fan from Oklahoma who was here at the QP that won the second prize of 50 quid as well. Now, look, it's a weekday game. It's a Tuesday night game, so we won't be doing that. But you know what we will be doing, mate?
Go on.
For this and the remaining home games of the season, little cheeky competition here on Back of the Net, where you can win a meal for 4 plus a drink at the Queen's Park. And you know what you have to do? It's so simple. Just predict the time of the first Cherries goal in the game on Tuesday night. That's all you need to do. So in the comments below, we'll also put this on Twitter. We'll put it on Facebook as well. It's literally a case of whenever you think the first Bournemouth goal is going to be scored, first Bournemouth goal, put the minute down, and then if it transpires to be the case, then you win a meal for 4 plus drink. If there's multiple people...
Yeah, then we'll have to do some sort of draw if there happens to be. I'll be very surprised, but there happens to be a few people that get the exact same time, then we'll do a draw to make it fair, and we'll be transparent with that. But yeah, great shout to try and get a free meal and a drink as well.
And by the way, their roast dinners are off the hook as well. So
and they're good. I need to get my hands on one. But yeah, I might.
On a Sunday.
I might put I'm trying to work out if we've got a time. You know, like some people put the kind of the average time you often score that first.
Interesting.
I wonder, because I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, a lot of people say it's probably near half time because I tend to miss them. But yeah, I kind of, sometimes we seem to, when we have that quick start, and then often it's just after half time. Could it be a late one? It's interesting, but someone will get it. Someone will get it. And tell you what, it's not a bad way to celebrate. Being in them comments. And you don't have to go, look, I got it right. You go, well, you can tell us you got it right, but take a little picky of your roast.
Well, you know, an app that will probably tell you that, it's SofaScore. Yeah, it's our favourite footballing app. Real-time goal notifications, faster than when you watch Soccer Saturday. Player and team information, stats and heat maps as well. We are massive users of the app on a match day, and to provide some of the graphics on this. And it's the highest rated live score app on the App Store and Google Play Store. So go and get SofaScore.
Definitely get it. It really helped me the last game, actually, because obviously Tyler Adams was back, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the week, you know, see if he plays again. But so I thought he played really, really well, and straight away I thought, I'm going to go on SofaScore and see if the stats play out with mine, and he got the highest rating, I believe. So it showed that his kind of, you know, what he did with the ball, without the ball, was as good as it looked on the eyes. So yeah, it's really helpful for that, because sometimes your eyes can deceive you, so it's nice to see it backed up. And yeah, it was Seamus Coleman got bad.
Link is below, QR code on the screen. So, since our game at Selhurst Park, Palace have not won an away game.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Yeah, they've drawn with Manchester City 2-2, lost 2-1 against Chelsea, and then they suffered their heaviest defeat of the season. They were awful against, do you remember they played Arsenal 5-0?
Yeah.
They lost also 4-1 at their rivals, Brighton, and there have been some changes though, haven't there? Because Roy Hodgson obviously has
departed.
He can't go on or whatever, you know, for health reasons. He decided to pack it in. So there is a new man at the helm. But have we noticed a difference? We're going to look over their recent form and also some of their results as well. And plus, later in the show, we'll be making some predictions as well.
Yeah.
But the top story is the return to Dean Court of... You're going to be able to handle this, mate?
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Seeing him in a shirt that isn't red and black. You've seen him at Selhurst Park, but Jeff Lerma is returning. We just need to underline how good he was for us.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and chat to a few Palace fans and stuff, and they, despite them not having the best season, they really like him, and it wouldn't actually shock me if he gets back-to-back Player of the Season awards for 2 different clubs, which would be very impressive. But yeah, Jeff is what Jeff is. You know, Palace fans seem to say exactly what we said, as, you know, he's pivotal, he's consistent, he very rarely has a bad game. Obviously his role means that he doesn't always get the headlines, but yeah, very rarely has a bad game, puts in 100%, and he's been pretty consistent for him in a time that's been inconsistent on the pitch, really. And for us, he was integral to everything. I always give him a lot of respect for we got relegated and he stayed with us. We did lose him for about 8 games because his discipline's always, but I actually think it seems to have improved a little bit. It did last season for us and for Palace, improved a little bit, but he's a Boity, typical South American kind of midfield player, but he's loved it, get a good reception. But first time I kind of really hope he's on the losing team again. But yeah, he's one that I'll worry about from set pieces. He's decent in the air.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm like. As soon as I'll be like, oh, just probably give him a clap. As soon as the game starts, he'll make a foul. Like, oh, Jeff.
Do you remember when the second half started at Selhurst Park? He had that thunder bastard of a shot, 25-yarder or 30-yarder that hit the outside of the post. It had Neto sprawling at the time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it didn't trouble Neto, because who knows whether he would have claimed it or not. Look, we need to talk about Neto. We'll probably delve more into it in the second look. But when Tom does his team predictions, we need to touch on what happened against Everton at the weekend. And we also need to touch on the fact that Cherries are on their second best unbeaten run this season. Now, the first came after Manchester City pummeled us 6-1. So we had 6 wins and a draw. Our second best run is after Manchester City at home, where we have had 3 wins and a draw. Can we make it 4? The importance of being where we are in the league, Tom, is always about taking points off teams in and around us. And I gather you saw a table that summed up the March fixtures in the Premier League. Whereabouts were Bournemouth?
Yeah, so if we go just over March, obviously you had international break, but just over a calendar month, top of the league. Top of the league. So I'm glad we didn't stay in our lane and decide not to try and progress, because how can little Bournemouth get any better than we were last season? Well, magnificent March. I'm sure he won't get Manager of the Month, but he probably should. I know a lot of people allude to the fixtures, but you've got to be, as you said, mate, teams in and around you, or because of how decent we've been, teams beneath you. We really should have probably won them all, but drew with Sheffield United. But yeah, you can't argue with the March, mate. I think, put it this way, if we had a really bad March, we'd suddenly be looking over our shoulder, and now we're not at all, are we? I mean, we're so far clear, it's unbelievable. So yeah, really nice place to be, and hopefully this time what I'm noticing is we talk about this a lot, but that on the beach feeling that we had last season when we gained safety, because we didn't get another point. It doesn't seem to be happening, which is really nice. And
these league positions can be massive in terms of the profit and sustainability, FFP, all that kind of stuff. It's about north of 2.5 million pounds per place.
Well, that's pretty. That speaks for itself, mate. And you can do a bit with that, and I'm sure the club will be definitely pushing Andoni and that. But I think as players, you just want, that kind of. There are a few things, that highest ever points tally, that higher ever position. We know that we finished 15th last season, so let's try and get higher than that. We know we got 39 points last season. We're on 38, so we're looking to beat that as well. And you want to see that progression in terms of points. That's what people look at, right? Did you get more points in the previous season? Did you finish in a higher league position? Did you score more goals and all that stuff? And at the moment, the trajectory seems like we will knock all of them out of the park. So really, really impressive. And I think a lot of players are playing as well. They know the competition, and they want to make sure they're in Andoni's thoughts. And I think when you've got a new gaffer, you're really kind of going, right, I want to make sure that he wants to keep hold of me. So, really good place to be. And I think the fact that we're playing Palace, who are one place below us, I think there's 8 points in it, a difference, which is really nice for us. Don't want them to close that on us. No. Let's keep looking up. Look at Fulham, who we've got a game in hand over and already point behind. So, it's looking really good, mate. We've got to be looking for top 10, in my opinion.
But look, Crystal Palace love being in 14th, because we've seen the league table. This is the form table. Again, 14th, only one.
Reek of 14th, don't they?
6, yeah, they do. I was chatting to Dee from back of the Nest, don't get it confused.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, you know what, as a Bournemouth fan, you will now start to realise what this kind of feeling of mid-table obscurity is. Not really pushing for Europe.
No, we're definitely not pushing for Europe.
Or are we? But they've had it for ages, haven't they?
I was going to say, we spoke about it at the start of the season or the end of last, where there's them I think James Alcott done it on one of his shows, where you talk about things that you feel like happened that didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Like weird things. And I would say, I can't remember Palace playing a game. Like they're so like I don't mind them, especially prefer them now with the Lerma link. But you always feel like they're never really going to go down. But you never think about them for Europe. And it's one of them ones where they've got to be careful. But I think what they've done cleverly, just diving into it a little bit with Palace before we kind of go into, kind of their recent form. You always knew Hodgson want the future, of course. And I feel what they've done well is gone, actually, if we get Glasner in now, he can get his approach across.
It's almost like an extended pre-season.
Yes.
In many ways, isn't it?
And then when it comes to pre-season, he'll go, right, I know which players suit my style. I know what I need because I've had a good bulk of fixtures.
So Palace fans maybe ought to mentally write this off in their heads anyway.
A little bit.
It's a chance for them to experiment a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that I think obviously it's very early days, but I think he's obviously a manager that's well thought of, probably similar to Andoni, where it's kind of like, oh, you know, a bit of potential there, someone from abroad that's doing quite well. And I think if they give him the tools, I think their fear will be some of their key players moving on. If they can keep hold of them, because they've had some injuries as well, then I think they could be in for a better season. But I know that when we do our predictions for next season, I'll be putting them in the table.
Yeah, of course.
And that's how it feels for them. So I get that. But then equally, I'm sure a lot of their fans also go, yeah, but let's be happy we're not, you know, because you can easily sink. I always remember everyone goes back to Charlton. Do you remember Charlton with Kerbishley? Mid-table every season. Then they went, we'll change it, went down, haven't been seen since.
I sense there's a reliance with Palace on a couple of their star players, really, to haul them over the line. But look, we'll talk about their team very shortly, I'm sure. But if you want to know how vanilla their season is, I think the baseline tracker table sums it up. 0. So basically, like where they should be. Yeah. It's like, come on, Palace, sort it out. But look, let's take a look at their forms. It's the turn of the year maybe, and they end up going out the FA Cup to a team that we just beat.
Yeah, we spoke about it when we were talking about the Everton preview, weren't we? Because they drew the opening game and then lost at Goodison. We mentioned briefly the Arsenal slamming that they got. Important for them to win that Sheffield United game, really important. Lost to Brighton, which is the weirdest rivalry in the world, but they lost that rivalry. Chelsea game as well.
And now this was the point. After that, this was where it transpired that Roy was, I think it was only a couple of hours before the Monday Night Football game that it was announced that Oliver Glasner was going to be the new gaffer. I don't think he was in charge for that game, so they had caretaker managers for that one. But that was a 1-1 draw. And then what better team to face than a despondent Burnley in your first home game? And, well,
we saw that. If Palace fans don't know, our first win under our new gaffer was Burnley at home. And no disrespect to Burnley, but if you could cherry pick one, you'd probably pick Burnley at home. But I know in that game, I think Burnley went down to 10 and that obviously helped. But to get 3 goals was important. I think they were getting a little bit bored, weren't they, Palace? So that was important for them. I thought the Tottenham game, they had a decent game plan, but Tottenham was too strong. Obviously won 3-1. It was quite reminiscent of us going to Tottenham, actually.
Yeah, it was.
You played all right, but they have got a little bit of too much firepower. Obviously drew the Luton game, which disappointed being at home, but it was important not to lose that. And then went to Forest obviously and got a late point, which was important as well. And I was quite pleased to see them two teams cancel each other out. And I think it was Mateta won it quite late on, who's one that, if you're a Palace fan, don't know as much, I worry about balls in the box. Mateta is an absolute machine. Have you seen the size of the guy?
But I thought that at the weekend against Everton, it was like, you know, they were so tall in the box compared to us. But
I felt like they were a little bit, I don't mean to be, not in a rude way, gangly rather than...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're
overpowering.
Onana and Cavalier, they're quite slight in terms of build, but they brought on Beto, who was probably their main beast, and he came on and scored. So Mateta would be a concern for me, and Palace should look at that, I think, and try and put balls in the box.
If you're a betting man, right, you know what scoreline you should go for?
Go on.
It doesn't matter which way. 2-0. Because our last 4 league games against them have all been 2-0. Let's check out our head-to-head between them since the turn of the year. I want to say that they're our sort of bogey side in some ways. It feels like it when they come to Dean Court quite often.
Yes, I agree with that.
We did them on Monday Night Football once with David Brooksy scoring that worldie.
And didn't Lerma win a penalty at the end?
Yeah, Lerma scored, but...
I remember because I just happened to be working with a Palace fan for that week.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying this, ironically now, saying that bloody Lerma fell over and he won a penalty, and then he went to him. But yeah, that's a good point actually, because I remember the COVID one where we were awful. Didn't Milosevic score a free kick?
That was the very first televised game on the BBC. On a Saturday night,
it was.
We were awful in that game.
Terrible,
absolutely dreadful.
Absolutely terrible in both games last season. Terrible.
Yeah.
I think we were at the away game. We had just got safety. I don't think we had a shot on target. Home game we were poor. And I always remember that away game on I think first game on Amazon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did as well.
They went down to 10 men.
Yeah.
Mamadou Sakho got sent off. Remember that? They went down to 10 men at 0-0. You're thinking, we'll win this game. Schlupp went and got a winner. So we have had some bad ones, but then equally, I remember us in the pink kit on Tuesday night.
Mark Pugh and
Bedekofobe.
Everyone on TV thought the header was going wide. It didn't.
And I think they had a run where he's not there now, where Scott Dan always scored against us. He's centre half. But there has been a few really good ones, like I say, this season. But yeah, on the whole, without looking, Palace must have a better head-to-head.
Well, let's have a look. Obviously, we've played them in the Premier League a fair few times, but before that, we have in the Division 3 South, I think, for a number of seasons. So if you're going back through the record, in home games, this might surprise you. against Palace. AFC Bournemouth have won 22, drawn 10 and lost 6.
What the hell?
But this is over a long period.
I was going to say,
In all competitions, Bournemouth have still got the edge, winning 30, losing 28 and drawing 20.
One of them draws, by the way. Little watch along. Asmir Begovic, the hero. Do you remember that in COVID?
Oh, yeah.
We were in the Championship, they were in the Premier League, and we drew and it went to penalties, and the penalties went on for ages.
Yeah, they did.
And it meant the goalkeepers had to take, and then Begovic ended up smashing us over the bar, but then saving and being the hero. So we've had some good games with them, but yeah, like you say, it's a weird one. I am surprised, but I guess that goes back a long way, is why head-to-head's good.
Few players to look out for. Obviously, you spoke about Mateta. They've got some injuries, we'll cover them, but Elise,
He'll be out.
He's going to be definitely out, is he?
I think in the game at their place, which, as I say, I just for Palace fans really, yes, it was a good win for us, and I didn't think much of them. But context, they didn't have Eze or Elise, which makes a big difference to them. Obviously, this one they're going to have one back in Eze, but not Elise. But they're missing Guay at the back, which I think's really hurting them.
Good player.
Because I mean, for me, if he's fit. If he'd stayed fit, he'd be in the England squad. I think he's better than Dunk, which I'm sure Palace fans would like because he's Brighton. I think he's probably, after seeing him live, I think he's still above Branthwaite.
Yeah.
I think Guay is touching. He could be like the 4th best England centre back. I think he's really underrated actually, and it's one of them things that Bournemouth fans know a lot of. I'm sure Palace fans agree that because he's at Palace, I don't think he quite gets the credit. I think Mark Guay is very good, so I'm really pleased that he won't be available.
I'm going to do a little test on you again, Tom. Can you name? I mean, there's actually a fair few. We can do a Cherries 11, but this is not just Premier League. But can you name 5 players that have played for both
in the Premier League?
Not in the Premier League, but 4 of them in the Premier League.
Joel Ward.
Not in the Premier League, but of course he.
By the way, we had him in League 2.
Yeah,
in the Great Escape season. He was like back up, and now he's in the Premier League. Fair play to him. I think we had him on loan for Portsmouth. Joel Ward, Jefferson Lerma, straight away. Right, so I've got to think of ones. Hang on. Royce Wiggins?
Yes, Royce Wiggins. You're going rogue there. You're going.
I was going across the Nathaniel Klein.
Yes.
Nathaniel Klein. Who else? Can you give me a position just so we don't stall too much? Up front. Glenn Murray.
There you go. Look.
Was that it?
That's 5. There are more. There are more.
I was going to say, yeah.
So yeah, Gary Cahill.
Oh, Gary Cahill, of course.
Carl Fletcher played 3 seasons. Ian Cox. As you say, Royce Wiggins, Darryl Flahaven as well, by the way. Adam Barrett, Jamie Vincent as well. Look, there's also a certain manager as well.
What?
A certain manager that's managed both sides as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
Why have I gone blank?
Not well liked for Bournemouth fans at the time. Hoofball, was it?
What, Jamie Quinn?
Well, no, he was also at Stoke.
Oh, Pulis. I always forget that. He was just before my time, but my dad always reminds me that was the only time he decided not to go and he had a season ticket.
So what about their style now? Is Glasner better than Pulis? We've been taking a look at their average positions for the last 4 games. It's a bit like interesting really when you look at it. So Burnley home, Spurs away, Luton home, Nottingham Forest away. They almost play relative to the league position they're playing. So look, you're Burnley at home, all up the other end, Spurs away, camped to their own half.
Yeah.
Luton at home, fairly even, but you'd say there's more emphasis in attack. Nottingham Forest away, like a little bit back, really.
Yeah.
So how do you think they'll be against us?
I think it's actually similar to us in the sense that they're quite game on game, adapt to the game, which I don't mind that at all. And I think you've also got to remember that I think this new manager is going to be doing it slowly and gradually. You can't just change everything overnight because then, if it didn't go right, they could be plummeting. So I think he's being quite clever, and it's similar to Andoni. I think they'll look to soak up a little bit against us just because it's away from home.
Yeah.
And they'll focus on set pieces, but I think they will be looking counter-attacking wise to try and hurt us. But yeah, I think it'll be a really even game. Actually, I think it's one of them ones that, as you mentioned earlier, if you're a betting man, I think score draw would probably be clever.
Yeah.
But
or 2-0.
Home impetus, I think, will mean that they'll try and soak up a little bit and kind of gauge how the game's going and then try and catch on the break.
So, look, there was no presser at Dean Court, but we do want to know which players are potentially out. I mean, Ryan Fredericks, we know about.
Is he out?
Senesi, not playing?
No, he's going to be out, which is like kind of what I alluded to earlier. He scored at Palace, didn't he? But he'll be out. And obviously the other goal scorer, Kiefer Moore, is not at the club. He's out on loan.
What about Ryan Christie? What was the issue with him?
It's a knock-off. I think it was like he had a cut under his knee and it kind of swelled up or something. But it looks like, I think Andoni kind of said, he'd probably be available the next week, but because it's a Tuesday game, it might be tough. If he is available, I think he'll probably be on the bench.
I think we missed him a little bit I think Lewis
His
Cook
energy
tried to
always makes him-
deputise a little bit. I tell you what, Lewis Cook's positioning, we'll talk about it in the second look, but he was advanced.
Yeah.
Obviously, his shots will show that, but then he seemed on the left flank a fair bit at times. It was
He was trying to do a bit more of a Christie role, wasn't he, to suit Tyler Adams, really.
Sinistera.
He's definitely out. He'll be out for a while. But yeah, it looks like it'll probably come too soon for Christie, but he might make the squad. And I think the other ones they're talking about is obviously your Kellys and Tyler Adams, Max Aarons, people like that, because they've been out for a bit, and Kelly and Adams both played a part. So I think he'll judge whether they can start, whether they can only play 60 or whatever. So he might have to rotate. He has basically confirmed, Andoni, that he will make changes.
Okay, and as for Palace then, we've spoke about Elise, but also Sam Johnston,
Goalkeeper,
Czech Decore, Rob Holding, Gahey, as you said.
What's you out?
What else? Franca, Raksake as well, all been out injured as well. Do you want to know who the referee is, Tom? Do you?
No, I couldn't be bothered.
Graham Scott.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was referee for our League Cup game against Stoke City.
Cool. And what was the score on that? 2-0. 2-0. This has got 2-0.
It's happening.
Stink to 2-0.
Right, we can ask for your predictions. Not before Tom goes through the teams. 1 minute teams then.
Oh, yeah.
Bournemouth in a 4-2-3-1.
In goal.
Yeah. Are you manifesting this, or all right?
Mark Travers.
What? So no Neto.
I can't.
Do you remember last time he was arrested for personal reasons or whatever, but he did come back stronger after that. Is it time?
You cannot. What? Everyone else. So do you remember when Tav did perform recently? He got left out of a game.
Yeah.
And we've said it loads of times, haven't we? When players have dipped in form, they've come out of the team. That's football. That's what happens. Mark Travers has just sat there watching Neto do blunder after blunder. At some point, and I just think we're at a position where you go, we're safe.
Yeah.
Nothing is really on the line. Surely you give a goalkeeper an opportunity that's young to go, right, could he be one for the future, or do we need to recruit? What's the point of continuing with a mid-30s goalkeeper who's having a bad time?
Is this where he may not get started and then afterwards it will be called a knock or something?
Oh, that's fine if they want to do that. If they want to do that narrative, absolutely fine by me. But he can't, my fear, especially when it's a goalkeeper, is they'll know, Palace will know. They would have seen it, the massive error. They'd have seen that he'd done one at Sheffield United recently as well, and that he's having a bad time. Just chuck the ball on him early. You might have a blooming 7-foot striker in Mateta up there. Just worry. I just think take him out of the firing line. There's no pressure. He can still be, as we keep saying, he's obviously a good leader, good in the dressing room. He can still be that as number 2.
Yeah.
And I think if he is this captain and leader that everyone kind of says he is, and I'm sure he is, then he should respect the fact that I've had a dip in form. I've made some mistakes, I need to come out of the team, and I'll back and try and help Mark Travers. Put it this way, if Mark Travers doesn't play on Tuesday, I'm banging the door down going, what's the point? Because I've been recalled from the loan when I was playing every week and getting rave reviews to sit on the bench for a goalkeeper who's not performing. It has to be Travers. To be Travers.
In our 1 minute teams, we're now 3 minutes in talking about Neto. However, doesn't matter. Back 4?
Yeah, I'll slide through. I'm going to make one change in the back 4. So I think Smithy will still play. Brilliant again, by the way. Zabani and Mepham, obviously with Celestia out, I think will continue at centre back. I think Lloyd Kelly will come in for this one.
So all our fullbacks are now available again?
They are. It's mad. And even James Hill's back. But when you say all our fullbacks, you keep forgetting Ryan Fredericks. I don't know why you forget him. It's almost like he gets forgotten. I don't know why. Do you know that Andoni Iraola still not seen him in training? He still said he had trained. Anyway, I just think that Kirk has had a bit of a knock, but was obviously fine. Lloyd Kelly's coming back.
Great cross.
Yeah, great cross. And I think the plan, we've done this before, I think the plan might have been to play one and then play the other. And I think Andoni alluded to the fact that he brought Kelly on really for the height, because they were putting balls in the box. Well, we just talked about the height of Palace and the fact that we conceded from across. I think Kelly will come in for Kirkez at left back.
Okay.
Midfield, Lewis Cook will play. I think he'll go back into his normal role. I think Alex Scott will play next to him. I just can't see how Tyler Adams being out for that long. He was brilliant. He was probably my man of the match, actually. Yeah. But I can't see how he's been out for all the season. He then goes away and plays on international duty, plays full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Can then suddenly play on the Tuesday when you don't need to risk him. And I think the reason he never brought Scott on in the end was because he's kind of said to Scott, you're starting on Tuesday. That's why I believe. I might be completely wrong. So I'm going to go for Cook and Scott in the middle.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with Semenyo, who was brilliant again, off one flank, and Tavernier off the other. And then I think Clive had done enough to stay in the 10. And Dom obviously up front. I think that there's call for rotation in them areas, but I think they've done enough. And yeah, I think we'll rotate elsewhere. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, as for Palace then, 3-4-2-1?
Yeah, they tend to do this with Glasner, and I think it's hard at the moment with the injuries for him to rotate too much. So I've only kind of made one. Henderson will be in goal, definitely, because Johnson's injured. Back three, ex-Cherry, Joel Ward, Joachim Anderson and Richards at the back. Munoz, who's been quite good. I think he's a teammate of Lerma and Sinisterra at Columbia. Right wing back. I think Will Hughes might come in for this one. Wharton's done well since coming in from Blackburn, but I think it's a place they might rotate. Big Jeff will be in there. And then Tyrick Mitchell on the left. I think Ayew and Eze will stay in them kind of advanced roles. Supporting Mateta. I would have rotated Mateta actually, but the fact that he got that goal in such a unit and the way we conceded, I think they'll hesitate to rotate him. So I think that's how they'll start, for sure.
There we go then. Right, remember we want your predictions, but like I say, why not put the time of the first Bournemouth goal as well? Because if you do and you get it right and we draw your name out the hat, if there's more than one that is, get a meal for four plus a drink here at the QP. And we're going to be here as well, so it'd be nice to say hi before the game on Tuesday. So make sure you're around. It's the cheapest pint in this postcode, so get down here. Pints for $3.90, I think it is on the Master. Absolutely super. You know, food, etc. as well. So make sure you get down to the QP. What's your prediction then, mate? What you go for?
2-0. We spoke about it so much. I knew you would, but you gave it to me first. Weirdly, I was thinking, I think we'll have an edge. I want to say a clean sheet. It always worries me. But yeah, I think we'll have an edge. I think we're playing all right at the moment. I think Dom's scoring, and Dom now is literally going to be going, get me to 20. I want 20 goals. Just want to tap on that, actually. Yeah. Do you know that Brentford had over 30 shots against Man United at the weekend?
Right.
Ivan Toney didn't score.
Where'd that?
Because he got in ahead of 60 goals. And I'm also going to tap into bloody Aston Villa. There's a few Aston Villa fans watch this. I like Aston Villa. And Ollie Watkins is bloody brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Solanke would score more at Villa. If he was at Villa getting them amount of chances, he'd score more. Dom Solanke is the next best striker to Harry Kane. I've had enough. I'm not sitting on the fence anymore.
I've got to be different then. I'm going to say 3-0 then, if you're going for 2-0. But there you go. Make sure you pop down to the QP.
Finish the point.
We'll see you there. And make sure you hit like and subscribe. And we'll see you at Dean Court. Up, Chess.
Just realised you just cutting now, aren't you? We're finishing.
Why?
I text Mark, said I'd make sure I mentioned him in the preview. I forgot he was going to get me a point if I mentioned him. Mark Jackson. He's my mate. He comes to games sometimes. He's finally back. He's a dad now. Cheers, Mark.